up, YouTube? It's your boy Zod back at you real quick. Anyways, I've been taking somewhat of a sabbatical once again. You know what? I get frustrated at the fact that YouTube continuously blocks that. Not necessarily block my video. I'll back that up, but they tend to demonetize nearly every video that I put out that might be somewhat controversial. And I understand, you know what I mean? YouTube, let me take that back. I don't understand nothing because YouTube used to be one of those platforms where you could really just put out pretty much what you want, you know? I mean, there's consequence to your action as far as like physically if you run into somebody on the street, but basically put out what you want. I've seen everything from terrorist strikes to like whatever, but that's besides the point. Send my shout outs to everybody that's, you know, rocking with the channel, trying to figure out exactly how to monetize a lot of these videos that, you know what I mean, because at the end of the day it's like we all trying to get to a certain plateau. But I haven't really been protesting out there because people's message have been all mixed up, and I ain't really trying to deal with all that political drama as far as like people and the sides that they want to choose. Like, I'd have no time for that. It was about one thing that was ice, and people took it and ran with it another way, BLM, whatever, Trump, against Trump, against Biden, whatever. People trip out on that too, like as if you have no opinion, but yet they continue to come to your channel. But like I said, this besides the point. What I really want to do is send mines, you know what I mean, RIP to Vanessa Guillen. Hopefully I didn't slay her last name, but it's like a lot of people already know exactly what took place in that situation. If you didn't, I'm going to try to read something from the Washington Post. Of course, not everything is going to be exactly on the up and up. You never know who chooses what side, you know what I mean? Especially when they got the army in the crosshair right now. And I'll go into that a little bit more. But basically, this is what it says. It says Guillen worked in the armory on a sprawling base outside of Guillen. According to a criminal complaint filed by FBI investigators, the U.S. District Court on April 22nd, she left her car keys, barracks room key, army identification card, and wallet at her armory, which I just don't get that. And I'll tell you why. And walked to the arms room overseen by Robinson. Robinson was the dude that took her life, you know what I mean? I'll just say allegedly, but you know what I'm talking about. Basically, he took her life. I just couldn't understand why she would be in that situation knowing dude was grimy. Some people have been on the internet saying that it's a little suspicious, not on her behalf, but as far as how the army is dictating certain things and trying to necessarily I won't say necessarily trying to cover things up, but it's just the stories are kind of like all over the place. I could tell you something else that's more of a conspiracy because it hasn't been able to be corroborated, but I'm going to go back to reading what it says. Soon after Orms killing her there, the complaint said, soon after witnesses saw Robinson struggling with a heavy weight of a plastic tough box as he shoved it into his car and drove away. In an interview after her arrest, Aguilar says Robinson picked her up and took her to a site near Leon River at Belton, east of Fort Hood. The box contained Guillen's body. That's why it's like the box contained Guillen's body was already there, she said. You know, Robinson Aguilar dismembered Guillen, tried to burn the remains and bury them in a separate hole. Investigators said before returning 4 days later to break up the remains using concrete to conceal them. I'm not going to go into any more of the gruesome story. Basically, she went to the barracks, the armory. He bludgeoned her with a hammer and took her life. All because he was too coward to fess up to what he was doing. But the reason I said there's a lot of things out there, a lot of theories out there as far as like other things that was taking place. I've heard everything from, you know, she was assaulted. You know, when I first heard the story, it was more she got harassed and she tried to complain about it, and that's what ultimately ended her life. But then you heard other stories as far as people saying that she was actually assaulted and just didn't really want to state that. But I don't believe that. You had somebody else that said something along, a lot of people in fact along the line said something along the line that she was actually sold, that they had some type of ring going on in the army and they were selling different girls, and she chose to speak up about it and got silenced. I don't believe none of that. It's not even that I don't believe it, but if it can't be corroborated, there's no need for me to chase down leads. For one, I'm not a investigator and I'm not a cop, but as far as like bringing the information to individuals that might otherwise just pass the story over, because let's be honest, a lot of people get killed and a lot of people get killed in a gruesome way. And as far as like these protests over her, a lot of people haven't really gave it the same energy that they gave all these other protests, like like George Floyd. I'm not mad at the fact that people chose to protest over him. People got fed up when you push people to a certain point. Eventually, they break. It's like pushing a coward in the corner. Eventually, he's gonna come out swinging. You cannot corner an animal and not expect them to want to defend themselves. The reason I chose to speak up on this instead of the porn star that got arrested for rape, I'll talk about him later. But Ron Jeremy, which is funny because Ron Jeremy, I'm not gonna talk about him. Some people want me to talk about Savage. Look, understand this. When it comes to Savage, Savage is busted. Plain and simple, he was trash. That's all I can say on the on that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go into nothing else about him because he's not worth that energy. He shouldn't be worth anybody's energy. For the individual that can't constantly like, hey, tell me, he's a PC. Go back to this. Now, Vanessa was one of those individuals that was innocent. She was serving her country and she got dealt a bad hand. And a lot of people are trying to cover up the fact that she got dealt a bad hand. I don't know what else goes into the story. A part of it that made me really want to speak about the story is because when you go on Facebook and you go on a lot of these social medias, you got people that are like really hurt by the fact that she got killed. She was a woman serving her country and she died a horrible way. But that's not really all the reason why people are up in arms. Is because you got these people on social media trying to downplay the fact that she was serving her country. Somehow she made a mistake by being a woman in the army, which, I mean, let's be honest, it's not the Marines, but that's not to downplay anybody because I know a lot of good people that are actually serving in the Army. I've had family that served in the Army, so I can't really say nothing too much about them. That particular, filter where she was stationed at, they filter because they should have been on it from the gate. But a lot of things are overlooked. I had a family member that I'm not gonna say her name, but the same thing happened to her. Well, she didn't die, but certain individuals try to make advance at her, and my cousin is not the type that you can push up on her, so she challenged it and almost got thrown out of the army for it. But she beat it because she was the type to push forward. But that's besides the point. The whole reason I said like I went to cover this video because there's people just talking so much mess on the internet. It's her fault. If she would have just went about it a different way, she wouldn't end up dead. She should have never joined the army being a woman. Like, you hear all this nonsense going on. So much race baiting. Oh, hold on. You heard things along the line like they should have kneeled on her neck. Like, stupid stuff. Like, people, of course, and it's funny because some of these people actually show their face. Like they're just either totally oblivious of the fact that people can actually reach out and touch them, or they just didn't care at all. These are the type of human beings that their moms should have swallowed, or spit in the toilet, or spit on that rag that their daddy had in his back pocket. These are the type of individuals that deserve something bad to happen to them. And look it, understand this video will not be monetized. Even if I could, I wouldn't, just for this particular story. But even if I could, they would demonetize it just for the simple fact that it's controversy. It don't matter if you're telling the truth or not when it comes to YouTube now. If you say something that might hurt their bottom line, they don't want to hear about it. It's like trying to talk mess about Google. Google backs them. I ain't gonna go into that about YouTube because I could break down some stuff that people probably won't know, but that's why people are leaving in trolls. But my channel is not big enough to where I can leave YouTube and weather it. So I gotta constantly strive. I gotta constantly figure out ways to monetize or sell my shirts, do whatever in order to really make something on YouTube. But this whole thing with Vanessa is just one of those things that it's not gonna necessarily get swept up under the rug, but somewhere or another they're gonna bury it. and maybe not bury it to where it's not like, I mean, it can't totally bury it because people are paying attention to the fact that it happened. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people coming out. But I can guarantee you, somewhere, some shape or form, the people that are coming out right now are going to be silenced in some way. And that's not to say they're going to end up murder, but they're going to some type of pay off something to keep them. Because at the end of the day, the military is the military. And for the most part, I won't even say for the most part, they protect. You know what I mean? It's just a few individuals that are bad apples that probably shouldn't have never been in the army in the first place. Sometimes they need to psychological evaluation in order to determine whether an individual should be there or not. Some people are already predators. They have predatory ways, and nothing would have stopped that. But if you go through your certain examination, they should be able to figure these people out. That's why you got psychiatrists. But of course, you know, some people will accept anybody, and this is no shot at the army. It's just like people need to get their shit together, plain and simple. Before you let an individual into the army, you need to determine whether he's physically fit and mentally capable of doing certain things. You know what I mean? I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But hopefully, some type of justice will come. And like I said, I never been one to do the cop's job. It's not me. You know what I mean? But it's just like when you're a rapist, you're like the lowest of the totem pole. You're like worse than the 2-5. You're worse than trash. You're you're worse than anything. Like you're worse than like a dog taking a turd. Like it's just you're trash. So I don't have no sympathy for individuals. The only sad thing is this dude took his own life when somebody should have ripped his soul out of his body, and that's just being honest. You know, a toast to you and hell, pussy. But you know, that's just the way it is. But yeah, that's basically all I can say about that. You know, R.I.P. to her, and hopefully her family finds some sort of resolution. You know what I mean? That in the end, people get the justice that they deserve, and you know, hopefully people don't necessarily take this as a blight on the military. I hear a lot of people saying that women shouldn't, and you know, shouldn't serve the military. I think you should. Maybe at this point in time, until things are settled, maybe you should slide back for a second and just really think about the fact that there's more cases than just this one. They may have not died, but there's so many cases of dudes forcing women to do certain things, some a lot worser in a sense. Not murder, but you know, when somebody takes something from a woman, that's just like murder. You know what I mean? But like I said, this is nothing to make comparisons. It's just maybe you should slide back for a moment, but don't put don't say the military is a bad place, because the military has helped a lot of people. It's helped a lot of family members. It's helped a lot of people that were going down a dark road that chose to change their life because somebody seen them. Before I got busted, I was trying to clear my record for on some drug thing, so I could so I can enlist. That's always been one of my dreams. Of course, it didn't come to fruition, but it is what it is. But on that note, man, I'm not gonna hold you no longer. Got another video coming about a channel that somebody been telling me about. It's crazy, but like I said, to the family, my condolences. Not that it really matters because I'm nobody. But hopefully people will go out there and push just as hard for her that they were the same way that they were pushing for BLM and these other causes that may not necessarily involve us, but push, into some type of justice. But don't let this deter you from enlisting, because at the end of the day, the military is needed. And on that note, your boy Zon,